Hey guys, how are you doing? What you are about to watch is basically my entire hair loss journey put together into one chronological video. Over the years, I made multiple videos showing different stages of my hair loss, the treatments I used, what worked, what stopped working, and how my routine evolved over time. But because those videos were uploaded separately, I realized a lot of people only saw parts of the story and missed the full timeline. So in this video, I decided to put everything together in chronological order. It starts when I was 20 years old and first noticed my hair loss, which is when I started using Finasteride with surprisingly good results. Then around 4 years later, Finasteride stopped being enough and I started losing ground again. That's when I introduced Minoxidil, Microneedling and a Ketoconazole Shampoo into my routine. You will see the first 3 months, the following 12 months, and finally my current routine and exactly how I use the Derma Pen and Minoxidil today. So hopefully this video gives you a much clearer picture of the entire process from beginning to end. Enjoy! Many people who have seen my videos know me for my incredible hair regrowth journey. Here's a comparison of me before and just 3 months after starting Minoxidil and the Derma roller. Pretty insane, right? What most people don't know is that before seeing these amazing results with Minoxidil and the Derma roller, I had been using another hair loss treatment on its own, Finasteride. I was on Finasteride way before starting Minoxidil and Derma rolling. So today I want to share my story of how I first started balding at age 20, how I began taking Finasteride, and my month-by-month results of only using Finasteride. This way, if you are experiencing hair loss or know someone who is, you will have a pretty good idea of what to expect. Hi, my name is Al Garrido and welcome to another video. I remember that when I first started to lose my hair at age 20, I was desperate to find a solution. I simply couldn't allow myself go bald so young. This is my personal opinion, but I feel like going bald so young makes you feel very insecure and robs you of a lot of opportunities that you would have had if you wouldn't be going bald. So I looked everywhere for videos and stories of people who managed to regrow their hair. That's why I know that if you are in a similar situation, you will really appreciate this story. Just take notes, enjoy it, and if you're getting any value of this, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Alright, so these are the first pictures of me before starting Finasteride. As you can see, the situation was not good. In this picture in the middle, you can see how bad my temple area was looking, with a lot of hair gone by then. The same can be said about the crown area, which was clearly visible at that time. So all of these are pictures of month 0, when I started taking Finasteride. Going next to month 1, I'm not gonna lie, there was a slight improvement, but not very much. You need to consider that Finasteride can stop hair loss, but it's a long process. This is me on month 2 of taking Finasteride. Here, believe it or not, I was starting to notice some new hair growth. It was very slight, but this before and after comparison should help you see the difference. The same can be said about the temple area, which was slowly but steadily showing some new baby hairs coming out. Month 3 was great. Whenever I compared the pictures with before, I was very happy because I knew I was making real progress. As you can see, I was still having noticeable hair loss, but it was substantially better than before. And with Finasteride, 3 months is still the very beginning of the potential results that you can have, as we will see in a minute. Anyway, this hype soon vanished because at month 4, something terrible happened. I got a hair shedding. Hair sheddings, for those who don't know, is when your hair starts to fall out more often and faster than normal. This usually happens with Finasteride and is also a good thing. It means that the weak and old follicles are being replaced by new and healthier ones. However, as you can imagine, it's still very shitty when it happens. The month 4 pictures still showed better results than from the beginning, but worse if you compare it to month 3. Anyways, this is temporary, and at month 5, I already started to see signs of recovery. Here's a before and after comparison of my crown area, which was visibly better at this point than compared to the beginning. The same can be said about the temple area. Month 6 was also great. Again, my hair loss at this point is still visible, but the situation has improved already significantly. Not only did I recover some of my hair, but the existing hair was also starting to get thicker. But 1 month later, the worst thing happened again. I got a second hair shedding, and I believe that this one was worse than the first one. Before I show you the pictures of my second hair shedding, let me briefly mention the topic side effects. Many people are afraid of taking finasteride because of its potential sexual side effects, such as erectile dysfunction. What I think about this is that the internet, once more, has exaggerated things, and it's not as bad as you may think. I'm not a doctor, so what I'm going to tell you is only based on my own experience and of everything I've read. I have never experienced any side effects with finasteride. For me, it was completely safe, but it's true that a small percentage of people has experienced them. They normally go away if you stop taking the treatment, so that's good news. Anyways, I don't think it's something that should scare you from trying. If you're interested in learning more about finasteride and its possible sexual side effects, I will leave you a study in the description below which talks about it. Anyways, back to the topic. As I mentioned before, month 7 was a terrible month since I experienced my second hair shedding. I know it looks bad now, but a little shedding may be a good thing since your hair will grow back stronger and thicker than before, which is what happened. This is month 8 and the hair started to grow back. Month 9 was even better. This is a before and after comparison between the beginning and month 9. Month 10 was more or less the same. Here you can see the improved crown area in contrast to month 0. Here are some pictures of month 11 and 12. Now, remember how I told you at the beginning that finasteride is a real game of patience? This is because, believe it or not, the best results of finasteride came after year 1. This is when the hair really started to come back as great and healthy as before. For example, this is me 1.5 years after taking finasteride. I remember my family asking me, what the heck is going on? Why was a young boy like me who was previously going bald suddenly regrowing all of his hair back? So now we enter year 2. This is when I started growing my hair long, which admittedly was always a dream for me to do. Here you will be able to compare the results from month 0 with year 2. Not only did I regrow the hair back, but I also managed to get a ton of new hair density. So yeah, finasteride is definitely great, and any of this would not have been possible without it. That being said, finasteride is not a hair loss cure. The reason I say this is because 4 years after starting finasteride, I started to lose my hair again. This can happen to very strong cases of hair loss such as mine. So that's when I started using Minoxidil and Derma rolling with even greater results than when I was using only finasteride. So if you want to see my month-by-month results of using Minoxidil and the Derma roller, click on this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, I wish you a happy hair journey. Adios. I've been taking 4 years straight finasteride to combat hair loss. This was me before and 2 years after the treatment. You may think a pretty impressive success story. However, last summer I was experiencing a new massive shedding, especially around the temples. It was time to step up the game, so I added 3 more treatments, which were Minoxidil in topical form, Derma Pen, and Ketoconazole Shampoo. I will go week by week over the results of these treatments and give you my honest opinion about them. Alright, so first I will briefly break down when and how I used these treatments. This is the way that best worked for me. What I did was the following. Every night I applied 1 milliliter of Minoxidil to my hairline. And I only did it to the area that was thinning. I never applied it to the rest of the scalp because once you expose the rest of the hair to Minoxidil, it will be forever dependent. If for some reason you discontinue using Minoxidil, you will lose all the hair that you regrew using Minoxidil before. So I saw no reason of applying it to the rest of my scalp where the hair was okay so far. Also, I applied Minoxidil once a day at night for a reason. Even though the companies will tell you that you should apply Minoxidil twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, that's not strictly necessary. The product has a half-life of 23 hours, so even though you apply it just once a day, it will make no difference. I first started applying it in the morning right after showering, but then I noticed that was pretty much inconvenient for me. Why? Because sometimes you just won't have the time to let it dry, or it will be difficult to fix your hair after that. Instead, I found out that it is much more convenient to apply it right before going to bed. I personally do it around 8 o'clock in the evening, but that's just my personal preference. I'm sure every one of you has their own routines. Alright, let's talk about the second treatment. Once a week, I will also microneedle the hairline with a needle depth of 1.5 millimeters. Before, I used to apply the Minoxidil 24 hours after microneedling, but now I just do it right after. I have not experienced any side effects such as headaches, heart palpitations, etc. etc. I have, however, noticed a side effect with the Derma Pen, which is simply flaky skin. This is pretty annoying, but I also feel it was worse in the first weeks of doing it. Now I feel the skin is much more resistant to it than before, and it doesn't flake so much as it used to do. This is, however, not a deal breaker for me because the skin just gets normal again after a few days. The reason I use a Derma Pen is because, well, first of all, you get much better precision when microneedling. But second, and this is also a very important point, is that you can exchange the derma stamps. And if you do that, you will have much less risk of getting an infection using microneedling. Let us talk now about the third treatment, which is simply the Ketoconazole Shampoo. I use the Ketoconazole Shampoo once a week. I could actually use it more often, but I find it is not strictly necessary. To be honest, I think the Ketoconazole Shampoo helped, but it was not a deal breaker when it comes to regrowing new hair. It will help to regrow your hair a tiny bit, but not as much as Finasteride or Minoxidil. Where it helped, however, and it is still helping, is when it comes to the common itching of the scalp for those people that are experiencing a shedding or balding. In my opinion, the shampoo helped there a lot because it has some anti-inflammatory properties. But like I said, I would not use it actually more than once a week because it is pretty expensive. This bottle, for example, costs $30 US. I would use it as a nice addition to getting that extra kick when it comes to regrowing your hair and also having an ease of mind. Okay, let's cut to the chase and see the results. So this picture is one day before starting the treatment. Huge loss of density and hair in the temple area. In the first 2 weeks, I would say that nothing happened. There was no shedding yet. The fourth week, however, there was a big shed. It may or may not be so noticeable in the picture, but besides that, I was finding so many hairs like in the shower, in my bed, and especially in the sink. Terrible, because that's a moment where you don't know if the treatment is working, so you're shedding before the regrowth, or you're actually just shedding because, I don't know, you are still balding. Surely after 3 more weeks, more or less, the shedding stopped and regrowth started. Not just the hair that I just shed, but also new hair that I had lost like 4 or 5 years ago. Hopefully you can appreciate it in this picture. I mean, all that hair was not there before, guys. And it's just a wonderful feeling to see that. And I think it does not stop there. Here's, by the way, a before and after picture that clarifies even more what a big change just happened in 2.5 months. I will continue posting my regrowth in this channel. And guys, just don't lose faith. Just hang in there. Also, click on the video above if you want to see my first video I did about my regrowth journey. There I explain much more in detail the crazy story about my before and after treatment with Finasteride. Until next time, I wish you a happy hair journey. Adios. I've been using Finasteride for 5 years to combat hair loss. This was me 20 years old and 2 years later with a fully recovered hair. But 1 year ago, the treatment stopped working and I started having massive hair loss. I lost a ton of hair density and my temple area started to recede again. It was time to step up the game, so I started using 3 new treatments, which were Minoxidil in topical form, Microneedling, and Ketoconazole Shampoo. I will go month by month over the results of these treatments and give you my honest opinion about them. Okay, so first let me break down how and when I use these treatments for the best results. I will give you the technique that best worked for me and the one that allowed me to have the quickest results. Also, any treatment I mention I will put down below in the description so you know where to find it in case you want to use it. So first let's start with Finasteride, which is the easiest. Every day I take 1 mg pill of Finasteride in the morning while having breakfast. There is no mystery about this, but it's a crucial treatment for hair loss. Finasteride stops the production of DHT, which is the hormone that causes hair loss. Many people are asking if I had any sexual side effects. The answer is no, I have never had any sexual side effects. It is possible though to have one of those sexual side effects if you start Finasteride, but the possibility is very low, with a 98% of people having no issues with that, and I include myself there. So overall, Finasteride is great for stopping further hair loss, but to regrow the lost hair and to gain new hair density, you will need Minoxidil. Minoxidil is a hair growth stimulator, and it's the greatest one that has ever existed. Without a doubt, it's the biggest contributor to my insane results, which we will see in a moment. The only thing I don't like about the companies that sell this is that they will tell you that you need to use it twice a day. In reality, I use it only once a day, and that's more than enough to regrow your hair. Minoxidil has a half-life of 22 hours, which means that you can just apply it once a day and it will be perfectly fine. In my case, I do it in the evening, 1 hour before going to bed, because it leaves the hair a bit greasy. So I apply it in the evening, and in the morning when I shower, I can just wash it off and the hair looks perfectly normal again. So Minoxidil is great and I would recommend it 1,000,000 times. But it wouldn't have worked as well without the next treatment, which is the Derma Pen. A Derma Pen is the same as a derma roller, only it works automatically. The derma roller uses very tiny needles which make micropunctures in your skin. So this helps Minoxidil to penetrate more easily. When used with Minoxidil, it gives much better results. Not only better hair growth and hair density, but also much quicker results. So I use it once a week with a needle depth of 1.5 millimeters, which is more than enough. I also use Minoxidil the day I microneedle. But to make it safer, you can choose to skip that day and use Minoxidil the next day. And now the last treatment, the Ketoconazole Shampoo. So Ketoconazole Shampoo is not necessary, just optional. I believe, however, that this is a great treatment for the following reasons. First, it also partially regrows hair like the other treatments we've seen, but it's not as effective as the other ones. Second, and this is very important, it will help during the common itching phase. When you start these treatments, the scalp will start to itch a lot for the first few weeks of the shedding phase. This is the time when some of the hairs will start to fall to make room for new and healthier ones. So the Ketoconazole Shampoo helps to calm the itching a lot. I still use it, but only once a week. As a reminder, I'm putting all the treatments and where to find them below in the description. Okay, so let's cut to the chase and see the results month by month. So these are my pictures before starting the treatments. As you can see, there is a huge density loss, especially in the temple area. Here's a picture of the first month after starting the treatments. And this month was the worst. So as I told you before, when you start these treatments, you will go through the common shedding phase. This phase lasts for a few weeks and means that the hairs that were affected by hair loss start to fall to make room for new and healthier ones. It just sucks because it looks like you're going more bald for a while. Here's a comparison to the beginning. When this happens, just remember that this is a sign that the treatments are working, and everything will go uphill from there, which is what happened. A few weeks later, in the second month, those hairs were starting to come out again. As you can see, my hair looked so much better already. Month 3 was also great, with even better results, as you can see here. It's more noticeable when compared to the beginning. Oh, but then the worst possible thing happened. I didn't know that this was possible, but apparently people can go through a second shedding phase, which is what happened to me. This is clear from this month 4 picture. The hairs I recovered were falling out again, but still better compared to the beginning. I was calm because I read that several shedding phases can occur, and one just needs to be patient. If you don't stop the treatments, you can trust that the hair will become much better. So this is me in month 5, still recovering from the second shedding phase, but it is already looking better. In month 6, I would say I had almost completely recovered from the second shedding phase. Here you can see the improvement compared to the beginning. If you think that it can get better from here, you're wrong. The next few months proved to be great for regrowing new hair and getting new hair density. This is month 8, and this time the picture is from an angle. Compared to the start, the hair was much fuller and healthier looking. In month 9, when I took this picture and compared it to the beginning, I realized that yes, there were some new hairs, but what really improved was the density. Look how much thicker the hair is compared to the start. Month 10 was even better. Here's the comparison to the beginning. In month 11, I think there was perhaps a little new shedding phase, but nothing comparable to the other two. The thing with the shedding phases is that they become much less frequent and much less severe with time. Here's the comparison. And at last, month 12, which is this month. You can see the amazing results. This is especially visible in the temple area. When I take these pictures, I do it with wet hair and comb it to the back, which exposes my still existing recession. But normally you wouldn't appreciate the hair loss, as you can see here. When I tell people that I suffer from hair loss, they almost laugh at me and tell me that they don't believe me. And this is the greatest compliment that I can get. So, if you can achieve that with your hair growth routine, you will have succeeded. If you found this inspiring, I would appreciate it a lot if you subscribe to the channel and help others find this video. Until next time, I wish you a happy hair journey. Adios! This is a Derma Pen and I use it to microneedle my scalp to regrow my hair. It works by creating tiny microchannels in your skin that stimulate the dermal papilla and help treatments like Minoxidil reach the follicles. The Derma Pen stands out to be the best option compared to the Derma Roller. Why? Because it doesn't tear the skin and allows you to adjust the needle size to fit your needs. So today I'm bringing you a step-by-step guide on how to use the Derma Pen. We will cover the best needle size, directions of use, and even a bonus tip to help you get the best hair regrowth results in the shortest possible time. Step 1. Choose the right Derma Pen. This might seem like the simplest step, but trust me, this is where most people make mistakes. After testing nearly every microneedling device out there, I have learned what works the best. When choosing a Derma Pen, prioritize one with adjustable speed settings and replaceable needle cartridges. Why? Cheap options often don't come with adjustable speed settings to customize the intensity depending on your comfort and the area you are treating. This means you will need to go over the same area more than once, which is inconvenient and unnecessary for your skin. Other options like the Derma Stamp, which I have spoken positively about in the past, also have adjustable needle sizes, which is great and very important. But their needles are fixed, meaning they cannot be changed. After a while you will need to buy a new Derma Stamp instead of simply replacing the cartridges on a Derma Pen, which is easier and more hygienic. There is no need of bacteria build-up, since every new cartridge comes in a sterile packaging ready to be used. I recommend using them only once for safety and best results. There's a link to a Derma Pen I recommend down in the description if you want to check it out. Step 2. Set the correct needle size. One of the best features of the Derma Pen is that you can adjust the needle size to fit your needs. According to a 2021 study, the optimal needle size for hair regrowth is 0.6 millimeters. Here's what to do. Open a new cartridge for your Derma Pen. Set the Derma Pen to 0.6 millimeters. If you want to experiment with longer needle sizes, you can, but never go beyond 1.5 millimeters. Going over that size could harm your scalp instead of helping it. Step 3. Use the Dermapen correctly. Choose the area you want to treat and slightly moisten it for convenience. This is optional. For me, I focus on my hairline because that's where my hair loss is most noticeable. Here's how to use the Dermapen. Gently press the Dermapen onto the area you want to treat. Move it up and down 6 to 7 times, no more than that. Then lift the pen and repeat the same motion from left to right, 6 to 7 times. It's really not necessary to do it more than that, since repeatedly needling the same spot can cause unnecessary stress to the skin. Move on to the next area until all the necessary spots are covered. Important tip: you don't need to treat those areas with healthy hair. Focus only on the spots where you want to encourage hair regrowth. Bonus tip: combine microneedling with minoxidil to speed up results. This combination worked wonders for me, but here's the catch. Minoxidil only works if you use it consistently every single day. Here's how to schedule it. Use the Dermapen once a week. For example, every Sunday. Skip minoxidil on microneedling days, since it contains alcohols that can irritate the skin. Use minoxidil every other day of the week. If you're not ready to commit to minoxidil, that's completely fine. You can still see great results with the Dermapen alone. As mentioned before, if you're looking to try one, I've linked down in the description the one I personally recommend. What about you? Have you tried microneedling for hair regrowth? I would love to hear about your results, so drop a comment and let us know how it's going. Until next time, I wish you a happy hair journey. Bye.